Hello and welcome to Card Shop Insiders, a podcast where we bring together decades of experience from both sides of the counter to take you inside the business of local game stores and collectible gaming hobbies. I'm Noah, and I like to play games, lots of them.
Hi, I'm John. I'm the card shop owner, a veteran of the industry, and a survivor of the industry as it's been over the last couple of years.
Well, with our combined perspectives, we're ready to take you inside, so let's go ahead and jump in with the news and updates. John, how are things this week?
Oh, just fantastic, Noah. It was a halfway decent weekend. We had the Magic pre-release, which I know you played in Friday night. By the way, how did you do?
I lost. Lots of times.
Oh, I didn't want to say that out loud. I figured I'd let you say that out loud. It was pretty good. I didn't get the number of people in the store that I thought we would get. The prior pre-release for the Murders at Karloff Manor did much better. However, a lot of people came in and bought at-home product and took home a lot of kits. So it kind of equaled it out. The complaints that I had was that the set didn't appeal to their senses. The cowboy Western theme they didn't like the theming of it. However, they liked the mechanics of it. What's your take on it?
I mean, I think that Magic with their variety of set theming is going to have that happen with every set. I think it just so happens our local store this time doesn't like cowboys, but I think the idea is really cool. I think some of the mechanics are a lot of fun to play with, and I think some of the theming is really cool. There's a whole cow sub-theme and some fun cow-themed cards in there. The Desperado Wild West elements of some of the lore and some of the theming worked really well, and it was a fun set to play. We had a really good time. While losing, it was still fun to get out and play with the guys in the shop and find out, what was in this new set. I think it's a good set. Again, Magic's doing the thing where they've got lots of alternate art and various printings that are available in your collector or your play boosters. And so I think it's a fun set for people to open. A couple of people opened some cool looking stuff that we didn't know, alternate treatments and things like that.
It's got some good cards in it too. Some good individual cards.
Very good cards. I think that'll affect some of the singles market pricing and also some of the demand that people have for things like collector's boosters and stuff, trying to get those chase cards.
Well, I noticed on Sunday, for instance, which is typically a slow day, I had a couple people call in and ask if I had collector booster boxes. So I sold a couple of collector booster boxes and a couple of packs here and there. So I don't know, maybe people had an opportunity to think about it over the weekend and say, hey, look, they got these good cards in this particular set. I'm going to see if they still have it, because I'm sure a lot of stores ran out of it already.
Yeah, I mean, if they're selling all their stuff, I think people come in on the first weekend and want to buy as much as they can. Some people want to get in so they can resell it on the front end of the market, and some people want to get in so they can just start opening packs. That cardboard addiction that keeps us going. So what about Star Wars this weekend, John? Did we do Star Wars organized play?
We did. We had 9 players come in to play in the weekly play. And again, my premise is if they come in, they get a pack and they get one of those special promo packs inherent to the weekly play. And that brings people in. And a couple people asked if they could buy extra packs. And even though I have 4 boxes still left, I'm reserving those for my weekly play people, just so they can have an opportunity to have that product every week they come in. Because the potential for the reprint is supposed to be sometime in May. I think I alluded to this last time. However, there's no exact date in May yet. It could be the end of May. It could be Memorial Day weekend. I don't know.
I mean, it'd be ideal if it was May the 4th, but, getting us product in advance of a Star Wars themed weekend might not be their first priority.
I don't think it's going to happen that early, no, I'll tell you the truth.
Well, we've got also big news coming up on Lorcana this week is the opening of the 10-ish day window for stores to run their set championships. The shop here's got it scheduled for Saturday, and it's my understanding registrations have filled up on the pre-registration. Is that right?
Yes, it has. We're going to run it on Saturday the 20th. Of April, and it's filled up. I capped it at 16 players, and I know I talked about this once before. I'm trying to keep it just as a tournament for the people that come into my store, and I hadn't even publicized it. I told everybody that comes into the store, if you want to play, let me know. Here's the code. I had 1 or 2 people who don't play every week that asked me, hey, I'd like to play, and they buy a lot of products, so I included them into the mix. So right now we have 16, and that's capped. But what I'm going to do is in my newsletter today, I'm going to put out if anybody would like to be on a wait list to let me know, and I'll let them know at the last minute, and I'll give them the code, just in case somebody drops out, which is always a good possibility. But I'm excited. I think it's going to go well. However, I got on my online account this morning, and the product is still in pre-order stage. I talked to my distributor or my sales rep on Thursday, and he said it hadn't even come in yet. And I don't know what the hell Ravensburger's doing. They're dragging their heels on certain things. But hopefully it came in on Friday, and it just hasn't been entered into their system yet, because this order includes a pre-release kit, and it includes the product that we were promised that we can order, additional product, which I think is going to be the last print of the first chapter. Now, the problem is, if it doesn't go out today and it goes out tomorrow, it probably will come in on Thursday. Now, I'm saying probably because UPS, just like any other entity, may have some shipping issues, dependent upon weather. It's especially bad in the wintertime and things like that. But with all the bad weather across the country, if it doesn't get shipped on Monday, it may go out on Tuesday, and I may get it on Thursday. If it's delayed for any reason, I'll get it on Friday. The last day, because I'm a 2-day ship from my primary distributor, if it goes out on Wednesday, yeah, it'll come in on Friday, maybe. But if there's a shipping glitch, it may not come in. So I'm hoping it goes out today. As soon as we're finished with this podcast, I'll get on the horn with my sales rep and say, what the hell's going on? What's the scoop? What's going on? What can you do?
Well, that's an interesting update to hear with the shipping. One thing I thought we'd talk about real quick was that some of the other ways that we've seen, I know you've mentioned it more than once, your store was a pre-registration, and it's marked as invite only, so you pre-register through you in the shop, and then you got a code to be able to register on the website. Other stores I've seen and heard online with pre-registration requiring certain tournaments to be played in, requiring other prerequisites to be met in order to be eligible to play in the store championship. Lots of different ways, but it seems like shop owners around the country kind of have the same feeling that you do, that they want to make it their guys first and then fill in the extra space if they need to with others. But it doesn't feel like those shops are looking at this tournament as a way to make a huge amount of money, but to really reward their patrons for playing and keep the thing going and keep the energy and excitement for this game building.
Well, that's the way it should be. My premise, and it has been this way for a long time, is to take care of my regular customers. I've always been that way. If a customer comes in every week, I think they've gained priority status as far as special things that could happen. And I'm going to do my damnedest to cater to that particular customer. And that's done me well over the course of years. So I'm going to continue doing it. I know this is a store up in Greensboro, North Carolina, requiring 3 tournaments and before you can be even considered to play in the store championship. So you have to do 3. And again, that's their effort and their way to keep out the snipers. Snipers being people who go from store to store to store to store just to collect all the prizes or attempt to collect all the prizes. And there's a lot of people out there like that.
Well, it's a lot of fun. I mean, I think there's people in different categories of player that like to play at the competitive level versus the casual level. And for those that are true competitive players, getting into those tournaments where there's something on the line, there's a prize worth winning, that's where they want to be at. They want to be in those tournaments. But I think this is a great segue into this week's topic introduction, which we had talked last week as we closed out. We said we'd switch over and talk about organized play a little bit. This event that we've just talked about is an organized play event. But there's different types of organized play. Why don't we start off first with talking about how you become eligible as an organized play store with some of these different games, and then we'll switch over and talk about the different types of organized play that are covered in a store like this.
All right, well, you have to have an account with a manufacturer. Like, for instance, Wizards of the Coast. I've been an account holder with Wizards for about 25 years now. And it's gotten very, very complex now. But again, you can do it all online. You used to be able to have to call in and talk to, I forgot her name, I think it was Linda something or other. And she would painstakingly put you, into the system for hosting this particular tournament. Now everything is done online. And you schedule your events, and I alluded to one time the metric system, which I'll explain in detail at another time, but it's a way for them to determine how many people come into your store or buy product in your store through the at-home type of products, and your allocations are, for your promos and your product allocations, are determined by the number of people that actually play. And all the other manufacturers are doing the same thing. And they all have online portals where you can get in and schedule your events, and then it gets publicized on their website, and that's how you bring people in.
All right, so major games right now, we've got Magic the Gathering, obviously still the biggest and most widely played card game. It's Wizards of the Coast,
Right.
and Hasbro now owns them. Is that right?
Unfortunately, Hasbro owns them.
You've got to have an account with Wizards
Right.
as an organized play store, and they have different tiers, and you can move up or down the ratings of store size based on how many people are coming in. Other games, we just talked about Star Wars. You run an organized play for Star Wars here. That's Fantasy Flight. They have an account recognition system. You had to apply through their website, and you're recognized as an OP store there. Lorcana, that's Ravensburger, right?
Mm-hmm.
And is Ravensburger running their own same type of registration as a shop? You contact them and get your own account there?
Yes, it was a long, involved process because you had to send a video to them about a minute showing the outside of the store, the inside of the store, your product display. You had to have, several different categories of product. You had to have a POS system, all these kind of things that they tried to make sure that you're a legitimate store. So not just operating out of your garage or selling at the flea market.
Which you could run a legitimate store in those places, but not the type of store they want to be recognized as an OP store.
No. And they're learning. They're learning as they go along. This was their first venture into this type of genre. And now they're using Melee, MELEE. .gg. I don't know what the hell this GG stands for, but
good game.
Good game, is that what it is? Okay. Well, whatever. But now they're using Melee to register for tournaments and for their tournament portal. Star Wars is using their own, and they're still in the developmental stage about that. I guess they're going to get better at it, but I could put people in, just put in any numbers and then just put your name in. And it's for weekly play, and that's how you keep track of weekly play. But they're going to evolve into something better. It just takes time. And Yu-Gi-Oh!, which is one of my biggest ones, has their own portal that you can set up your events on Yu-Gi-Oh! But the problem with Yu-Gi-Oh! Right now is there's so many stores that are doing it. And I'm an official tournament store, and I've been an official tournament store for a number of years. Now, what that provides me is the opportunity to sell a product 2 days before it actually releases. So, for instance, if the new set releases on the 26th of this month, which I think it does, I could sell it on that Wednesday, the 24th, or whatever the hell it is. Plus, they provide me with OTS packs in order to give out to players that come into the store. And they're highly sought after. So that's how they support the game. But the problem with Yu-Gi-Oh! Is they have so many ancillary events. There's always a regional going on. There's a regional in South Carolina. There's a regional that was just this past weekend in Richmond. There's a YCS tournament in Raleigh this coming weekend, which also happens to be the release of the new set. It's called a premiere event. So I ordered a case for the premiere because I know how many people come into the store. So I ordered a case, and I was hoping to get rid of it, between Saturday and Sunday with the people coming into the store. However, Konami sent a note about a month ago to say, hey, we made a mistake. There was a scheduling thing and we couldn't alter the schedule. So the YCS is the same weekend as the premiere. However, the local stores have the option to apply online. It doesn't cost anything, but it's just to apply online, go through all the hoops, bring all your stuff to Raleigh and set up there and run your pre-release there. I'm not doing that. It's a pain in the neck to do. And I'm not doing it. It's not worth it. I'll have some customers come in, and I definitely won't go through that whole case. So what I'm going to do is the following week, instead of ordering 2 cases from my distributor, I'll just get 1 case, and that'll sustain me for the rest of the time. But they do this all the time.
Yeah. Since we're trying to lay it out for people that might be following along and the goal of maybe having a shop someday, Yu-Gi-Oh! You said is run by Konami. That's right. The company you're contacting and signing up with? Right.
And they're a strict Japanese company.
Okay.
Which they have the U.S. version of it. However, the U.S. version of it adheres to whatever the Japanese people say the way it's run. So they're very strict when it comes to that.
That's the same with the Pokemon setup, too.
Pretty much,
organized play is the same way. Are you a Pokemon organized play store?
I used to be.
Okay.
When Wizards owned the license for it. And then people started not coming into the store to play after Wizards lost it, but they would still come in to buy stuff. And I would carry, a little bit of product for that. But we used to be a big Pokemon store. So somebody said to me one time, about a year and a half ago, can you start doing Pokemon tournaments? I said, yeah, we can do Pokemon tournaments again. So I got online and I applied and I went through the background check and all this stuff. Then I never heard from them again. So I said, what the hell's going on? So I contacted them, and it's all by email. You can't talk to anybody. It's all email back and forth, which is frustrating as hell. And they finally got back to me, oh, well, you have to apply. And I said, I just applied 6 months ago and I was approved. Everything was in the works and I was supposed to be approved. Well, you got to apply again. So I said, to hell with it. I'm not doing it. I'm just not doing it. So if we run any Pokemon events, it'll be just non-sanctioned events, just for people who want to come in. There's other stores that run big events, so I'm not concerned about it.
Interesting. What about Flesh and Blood? As we've talked about it kind of fading off in the store here, Flesh and Blood was a new company that put out a new product. Did you have any process with them to get recognized as an authorized retailer or an organized play provider?
The same thing. You have to apply. You have to send pictures to legitimize your store. Make sure you're a storefront and not somebody that's selling, out of the suitcase at a flea market or something like that. And we were approved, but the craze got so big so quickly that other stores jumped on it. So even though we were one of the first that did it in this area, my customer base kind of shrunk. But we were getting 6 to 8 people that would come in legitimately. And their prize support is fantastic. They would send out good promos every month. They would send out play mats every month to give out to participants. Then, one of the other good things about Flesh and Blood is they did not sell in Target or Walmart or any of the big box stores. It was just through distributors, through hobby shops. And it was going very, very well. However, they came out with a couple of crappy sets, according to the players. I don't know. I don't play the damn game. So players said, we don't like this set. So they stopped coming around to play. We got a pre-release coming up for them in a week or two with the new, maybe it's in May. And a couple people are interested in it. And I ordered the kit. I set it up online to make sure that I did what I had to do in order to put the schedule up there. And I've got product that's destined to come in. But we'll see. We'll have to play this one by ear. This one's a gut feeling that I may or may not continue to carry. I'm not 100% sure yet.
Well, I guess we'll find that out later. After you've got your account set up, we mentioned a couple of different places today already that there's software that goes with this and that the companies don't all use the same software.
Right.
I think what I've heard from you today is there's an online platform, melee.gg, that's being used by Ravensburger for Lorcana. It can also manage other games, including Magic, I believe, and other programs that it can organize tournaments for. Fantasy Flight for Star Wars is doing proprietary software through a web app. So you get on and you do that. Konami has their own, again, proprietary managed software. Pokemon has their own stuff. Magic has their own thing. It nicely crashed for us over the pre-release weekend, as it normally does. But Magic's running their own software as well. So it sounds like in order to run these tournaments, though, a shop owner needs to be proficient in multiple different, at least user interfaces and types of software. You don't need coding experience, but you definitely need to be computer literate and be able to navigate the different interfaces they'll give you, right?
Yeah, you do. And me as an older person, some of this stuff I don't know. And that's why I ask you or whoever else comes in, how the hell you do this? The most difficult one I encountered in the past was the Digimon one. That was an abomination. But I've gotten to the point where I can run it. That software runs, there's going to be a new game called Union Arena by Bandai. And then you got Digimon, and then you got One Piece, which is very big. So I wasn't going to do One Piece. I did carry product at one time, but I didn't have a lot of demand for it. Now the demand is coming back, so I was able to tap into a pre-order for a reprint. So I'm going to be getting some of that product coming in I think it's May or June, and it's going to be over the next couple of months. The problem with this is you have to order those products 6 months in advance through the distributor. I'm not sure I think it's a distributor Bandai situation that Bandai doesn't want to overproduce, so they're saying to their primary distributor, tell me how many boxes you need. If you need 100, fine, we'll print 105. If you need, less than that, let us know. But we're not going to produce 1,000 of them and hope that they're going to sell through your venue. But the software, I'm telling you, Noah, Wizards, as big a company as they are, they're great. I mean, they really are. However, their software sucks, in plain English. The app crashed on the phone, so people couldn't even put in their results. The program itself crashed for about 20-25 minutes. That's Wizards Event Reporter. And they have this problem every single big event. I'm not sure what the hell is going on with them. I don't know if they don't have the technical support that's needed to keep the servers running with the demand, because it's a worldwide demand at pre-release. And fortunately, it came back up. But I guess the last 3 or 4 pre-releases, the system crashed. So, and that's unacceptable.
It really is to go that long, I think, particularly with a company that's running weekly events. They started Friday Night Magic, 10 years ago, where they were really pushing organized play on Friday nights. They took Fridays, they claimed it for the Magic game, and it's Friday Night Magic. And they started the promo program. Their software gets used every Friday by almost every WPN store.
I've noticed that the more sophisticated they try to get with the software, the worse it is. I'm not sure if it's too much for the programming involved in it or whatever the hell it is. That's not my expertise. As an end user, it's frustrating because then you have to scatter. What I was prepared to do the other night was, hey, it was starting to give me problems, I guess, toward the end of the second round. And we were scheduled to do a third round. If it didn't come back up, I was just going to make the announcement, hey guys, play whoever the hell you want to play the next round, but I'm going to give you an extra pack as a prize pack. And that's how I was going to get out of it. But the system came back up and it limped along for another 20 to 25 minutes. So basically it was down for almost an hour at any given capacity, completely out or limping along.
No, it's difficult, but it's what you're forced to use. So you got to become adept at using the program. And then, like you said, you have to be able to adapt to your own store if there is a problem so that you can continue an event. Because the worst thing that could happen is having to shut down an event and then people saying things like refund or other words that nobody wants to hear when you're in a retail store, right?
Yeah. Well, getting back to the software, Melee is supposed to be Wizards backup for big events. I think the Wizards WER system, Wizards Event Reporter, is capable of handling up to 400 people. But the Melee, I'm not sure what their capacity is, but Wizards uses that software to run the really big events where it's 2,000 people or more. And I'm sure that's why Ravensburger's doing it also.
I was going to say, Baylor better have a high capacity. Ravensburger's using it for a 2,000 person event in Atlanta. So
2,048 to be exact.
Let's talk for a second about the different types of organized play then. So we're getting accounts, we're setting it up, we're getting the software, we're becoming familiar with the software, and then week to week we're running different levels of organized play. And I would say the base level of organized play is like a casual, dedicated window where you say 2 to 4 p.m. is Star Wars open play, or is Magic open play, or is any of these games that we've talked about today. What are your thoughts about having dedicated time in your store for that base level casual play?
Oh, I think it's a necessity. You can't commit everybody to a specific time every single event that you have, because people get stuck in traffic. They get stuck in bad weather. They get stuck because their wife doesn't want them to leave the house. They get stuck because their soccer games that the kids are in are running over an hour or two. And that's why I have that open opportunity. Hey, look, Star Wars starts at 3, but you can come in at 2 o'clock and play, which they did the other day. And you could stay till as long as you want and just continue playing. And I think it's important. And we did the same thing with the Lorcana.
I would say that the next level up, though, is really like organized league play, which is really more what like Lorcana fit into, right? Like that was organized league play was there. You paid a fee to be in the league. It made you eligible for promos. It made you eligible for the other things that Ravensburger sent out to go with the game.
The pins
and things like that. And then you also got, like you said, a pack. I think every game that you've done, that sort of league format that I've participated in, there's an entry fee weekly, and then you get a pack of cards and you get open play. Sometimes an option to play in like an organized casual tournament or matchmaking program, but usually it's open play.
I noticed when we first started doing Lorcana, maybe after 3 or 4 weeks into it, I asked a couple of people if they wanted to play in a competitive tournament. Well, of the 18 or 20 people at that time, only about 5 or 6 wanted to do competitive tournament. The rest of them were just content with playing against themselves, friends that they brought in, and having a good time. So I didn't force the issue. A couple of the people who wanted to do competitive tournaments were kind of bristled by it, but they still participated. However, the next time I wanted to do a competitive tournament, the people that bristled said, no, I don't want to play today. I want to just do this. I guess they realized that their decks weren't good enough and they couldn't compete.
Yeah, maybe it's the decks weren't good enough. I can appreciate the difference between playing in a tournament and playing casually, but there are different pros and cons to me. In a open play environment, I have to be social enough to ask somebody to play against me. Otherwise, I'm going to sit by myself in the corner. I think you do a good job of calling out people and trying to mash people up and get some sort of rotation going where people are playing new people. But, that's the drawback I see of open play is social anxiety or discomfort with meeting new people. Where in a tournament, you call out the names and you say,
you're forced.
Noah's playing Jack, go sit down and play. I didn't know Jack would play. It's good. We have a good time. We meet each other and then we know each other for future events and things like that.
Well, getting back to the way I do it, because I have a small store, I know everybody that comes in. And if I see your wife, for instance, sitting there playing against your daughter, I'm going to say to them after they're finished, I want you to play her and I want you to play him. And I kind of direct the traffic a little bit because you're right. People have this little bit of social anxiety when they first come in and they don't know anybody and they want to get involved. And I usually say somebody comes in, hey, I'm going to introduce you to the crowd. This is Bob. Bob's going to play Star Wars. Introduce yourself. Don't be bashful. And that's worked well. And it's because I have a small store and I can control that.
I think that's good. You get people coming back to play once they feel like they're part of the group. People aren't feeling like they're sitting on the edge and not acknowledged or noticed. I mean, a lot of people aren't coming here so that they can get acknowledged and noticed, but you want to feel part of the thing. So running back up it, we're casual play, just like an open table policy. Just come on in and play a game if you want to. Then we've got organized league play. Above that, we're talking like low-level competitive play. This is like store-level organized play, weekly tournament maybe.
Well, that's just like Magic.
I'd put Friday Night Magic in that category.
Or the pre-release.
Pre-releases are in that category. They're low-level competitive. It's formal enough that you're running the bracket. You're telling who's playing who. But it's not serious enough that anybody's, losing sleep over prep for the tournament, things like that.
No.
Above that, maybe this weekend's Lorcana tournament, the set championship or the store championship where they put extra promos and stuff out. There's some added incentive to want to do well.
Because they have value.
That's right.
To those promo items.
Right, because they're going to get sold by lots of us. That's, I don't think, going to happen. But
lots of us? Is that including you?
I'm not selling mine. If I win one, which I'm not guaranteed to, I'd like to, but we'll see how that shakes out this weekend.
If it's any indication the way you conducted yourself Friday night in Magic, you don't stand a chance.
No. 0-2 on a 0-2 with a bye. That was fantastic work. No, I think so. Then above that, though, we get outside of the store for organized play, right? Most local game shops aren't going to run something bigger than a set championship type of tournament where there's a high value promo that's been provided for. We're talking like a regional or an area play kind of thing, a 70 to 300 people tournament. Those aren't going to happen at a local shop. Is that right?
Not this local shop. That's for damn sure. However, I'll give you, for instance, getting back to the Yu-Gi-Oh community. Yu-Gi-Oh's always running big events here and there and everywhere. And I continually get information from Konami. Hey, since you're an OTS store, organized tournament store, that's what OTS means, you're eligible to run a regional, but you got to send all this information to them. And you have to have the space. I don't have this space. I think one time I could have accommodated 72 people, and you have to send them diagrams, and you have to get security, and you have to do judges, and you just don't make any money. So this boy wasn't going to do it. I just wasn't going to go through that aggravation.
Well, I think that's the jump from, in terms of organized play, that's the jump from like an in-store organized play to like a regional or a bigger tournament, is that there's a lot more formality to it. You've got insurance costs, you've got security, you've got venue, you've got other things. When you're running the tournament in your store, we talked last time a little bit that you saw an opportunity to expand and do like food and drink snacks in the store as an additional revenue stream. You're not making a killing off of like the local tournament scene. Your Friday Night Magic isn't your primary breadwinner, is it?
No, it's overall everything that comes in. But Friday Night Magic is a considerable part of it.
Well, but on Friday Night Magic, not just the tournament fees that people pay, but they're also buying product. I mean, very few people left the pre-release with just a pre-release kit.
And they'll buy singles. I keep mentioning this. Asses in the seats. You get people into the store, they're going to look around, They're going to go to the display and say, hey, I need that particular card because I also play Commander, and that particular card works well on my Commander deck. Or they're going to search my database, and they're going to say, hey, can you pull these few cards that you have back here? And they got to get into the store. That's basically, what it takes.
What about organized play formats? There's two major formats in these card games. There's a constructed style of play where you build your deck at home and bring it in to play with your friends and other people. And then there's the limited style of play where you get cards in a store, you open them up in one of a couple of different variations, and then you build a deck here. What drives your decision about whether you're doing a constructed organized play event or doing a limited organized play event?
You bring in more money when you do limited because people are forced to draft or they're forced to buy packs in order to do sealed. If you're doing constructed, people can get cards from all over the place, from other stores, from Walmart, from online and stuff like that, and they build their decks from that. Yeah, you're going to charge them a fee to come in, but they're not going to buy the majority of their product from you. They're just going to buy the entry into the event and hopefully get a pack or something like that extra as a prize.
Yeah, I mean, I can see that, but event entry has low overhead, right? You're open anyway. So if you're having an event and somebody's willing to pay $10 to sit in one of your seats, and all they're doing is taking a seat that was there anyway, isn't that a lot different than having to pay to buy 6 packs? And you've got to get the product in the store first and then be able to have the 6 packs for them to buy to play?
It is, but again, there's so many other stores that are running all. Getting back to Magic, there's so many different formats that people want to avail themselves to. I just don't have that scheduling capacity nor the room in order to put all these things in at one time.
Do you get a lot of demand from your patrons to have different types of play?
Only a few. I mean, if I had like a surge of people saying, hey, can you do this format? I'll do it. But if I have one or two that want to do it and nobody else asks about this format, it's not worth it. It's just not worth my time.
Your Friday Night Magic format is primarily draft, is that right?
Yep.
When I started playing with you years ago, you did like an alternating draft and standard kind of thing where you brought constructed decks one week and you could draft on the other week.
We did.
But you kind of strayed away from that. Do you remember what went into the decision making to go primarily limited for the Magic format?
Yeah, because the number of people that wanted to come in to play standard kind of dwindled. Standard went out of vogue. I think because Wizards screwed up along the way, and now they're trying to push standard on us. For instance, in the foreseeable future, and it happened with the murders of Karloff Manor, the Store Championship had to be a standard format. We normally would have done it as a draft, but we did it as a standard. And I gave the people the option. I said, you can do either or when you come in. So I scheduled 2 events, the Store Championship as a standard, and then, the regular draft. And of the 16 or 18 people that came in, only 7 people decided to do standard that night. So that's how, the Store Championship went. Otherwise, they would have had 16 to 17 people set up for the Store Championship if it had been in draft format.
Interesting. Let's shift over and talk a little bit about, I guess, maybe foreseeing some problems that people might have when they're trying to set up running organized play. What are some of the problems that you've seen with organized play in the store and maybe some suggestions on how to prepare for that or to fix that?
Well, organized play depends upon your customer base. If people want to do it, that's basically it. And when you first get started, it's going to be difficult because there's so much competition out there. And you have to make the decisions on the fly. And I've done that for a number of years. I'm not the smartest person in the world, and I don't, want to be the smartest or attempt to be the smartest. However, you have to have an awareness of what's going on around you. And I guess it's street smarts and how to get along with people and extract from them what they want and, what they need as far as organized play.
So taking community feedback, being able to adapt to community feedback are things that people might want to have as a skill to be able to run organized play. What about jerks that come into the store and cause problems? You ever have any?
Oh, yeah. That's going to be on our characters section one time. Characters that come into the store. I know we mentioned Liz last week as one of our first characters. But yeah, I've had some problematic people in the past. And I've thrown some people out of the store and banned them. And we'll go into that at another time because, I wasn't so happy with some of these people. And, they come in and they try to tell you how to run your store to their advantage. And I look at them and I say, this is not going to happen. This is my store. I'll do it the way I want to do it. And, I've had a few of those along the way. And people think I just sit back behind the computer and at my desk and don't pay attention. But I put my hearing aids up loud and I can hear just about everybody that's talking in the store. So I get my feedback that way. Plus, social media. I get on Facebook, I get on Discord, and I look to see what people are saying, what they'd like, what the good things are, and what they're complaining about. And I know who some of the bad apples are. And fortunately, I don't have too many of those anymore. I've weeded them out over the years. Except you.
Oh,
I kept you.
Still coming back. I don't know. Apparently, I've got a passion for punishment. But let's jump over then. You mentioned we've got a couple other segments before we wrap up today, but we usually go into the 3 E's is what we like to call it. You got anything you wanted to add in the 3 E's today?
Actually, I do. But before that, I just want to mention, when we talked about setting up a store, we didn't even go into the legal ways to set up a store, whether it's going to be a sole proprietorship, a partnership, limited liability corporation, which is called an LLC, or a corporate structure. And they all have different tax implications, and they all have different tax reporting deadlines and things like that. So maybe in the near future we'll hit on that. So I didn't forget about that. I thought about it and I said, no, I don't want to overwhelm them with all this information. But the easiest way to start a business is a sole proprietorship right now. All right, now getting back to the 3 E's.
All right, what do we have for 3 E's today? Our 3 E's are educate, enlighten, and entertain. We like to think that we find ourselves educational and entertaining in the first place, but you've brought a couple of snippets the last few weeks.
Oh, yeah. I've got a couple more here, and then you're going to expound on what I'm going to talk about. This little snippet of article that said food from vending machines and mobile vendors is up 14.6%. And the New York Food Truck Association attributes the rise of higher costs for labor and raw ingredients. Food is a low-margin business by nature, he says. Inflation has made it even more so. And I guess this relates to some of the products I carry in the store. I try to put my snacks at a reasonable rate. And I know they're cheaper than the vending machine rates. But I go out and I go to Costco and I go to Sam's Club or I go to BJ's, wherever I can get product, and I'll buy and waste my gas going there and bringing it in and putting it into the store. And the way I price it is it's including of the 7.5% tax. So I haven't had too many people bitch about it lately. But it's probably going to be an increase of, a couple pennies here and there along the way because it's costing me more money. All right, the next thing I want to talk about, I found this to be interesting. I'm going to test your knowledge, Noah.
All right, pop quiz time.
How big has YouTube become, percentage-wise of internet users worldwide? What percentage do you think it is?
Of overall internet use? I don't know, probably 30 or 40%.
That is 52%. Of internet users worldwide access YouTube's repository of an estimated 1 billion videos at least once a month, making it the second most used search engine in the world after Google, which, by the way, owns it. How about them apples?
I think it's a big deal. It's one of the reasons we've been talking about working our way over to video podcasting so that we can get in on the largest used search engine for media in the world.
Expound on your story about what happened with YouTube or the other, Instagram and all that other stuff that you're trying to get us set up on?
Oh, gosh, yeah. So we're update on that. I've been asking in our call to action for the last couple of weeks for people to consider following us on social media. And I set up a Twitter account. We got great handles. We got Card Shop Insider. The actual name of the podcast was available on both Twitter and Instagram. And we went to set that up and got it going. And I was ready to make a post. And I logged in and was flagged by Meta's content policy. They said that we were identified as violating their policy because we had created the account to avoid their personal identification program or something. Like we were hiding our identities for some nefarious purpose, which I just thought was ridiculous because I answered all their identifying questions accurately and honestly for the accounts. And they emailed us. I did the confirmations on mobile and all those things, but they deleted the account and I had to do an appeal and had to answer questions and had to wait for them to decide to send me a code, which wouldn't come right away, but it came at a random time in the future, I guess, to see if I actually owned the phone I was using. It was a real pain, but we got Instagram is back. Twitter is, I don't think was fully affected by it, but is back and functioning and is going there. And so we're on those two social media platforms, and we're working. There's an eligibility issue with getting up on YouTube right now. You have to have had your domain for a fixed period of time, and you have to have had your Google account for a fixed period of time. But I think we're past both of those, and I'm working on getting the details set up so that we can start posting some of this content on YouTube and start getting video of our beautiful faces out there for the world to see.
Okay, that sounds good. Entertaining. I've got 2 stories to tell you. I told you I was wound up today.
You'd seem to be.
When I sit at the counter, I usually sit on my rollator. So I'm directly opposite. There's a pillar that's in front of my counter. There's enough room for people to get in front of it. And there was one girl came in the other day, and she was playing Star Wars, and she had a shirt on. And all I saw was music of the SPH. All right. And then the rest of it was blocked off. So I said, what the hell could be after after SPH? And I said, Sphinx? No. Sphincter. That's what I thought.
Oh,
and I walked over there and I said, oh God, it says Spheres. And it was a Coldplay shirt. But I said, I thought that said, music of the sphincter. I thought it was a farting shirt or something like that.
Oh my gosh.
And her father started laughing like hell. Another story, and I know I alluded to this last week.
Okay.
This was at a Costco. Okay?
Making friends at Costco.
I'm going to tell my Costco story.
Here we go.
I use a mobility cart, one of those drive around carts, because there's no way in hell I could walk all over Costco. So naturally, they didn't have one at the front as you walk in. I had to wait. So I'm sitting on the wall there, and the Costco attendant says, I think there's one in the parking lot. He said, I'll follow that person out if not, and I'll get one for you. So all of a sudden, I see the guy coming in with my cart, and I'm about ready to get up because he's almost close to where I am. And all of a sudden, out of the corner of my eye, I see this guy running like a bat out of hell, and he jumps in the cart. So the Costco attendant says to him, I got the cart for him. He said, oh, man, that's my cart. It's my cart. I'm riding it. So I said to him, that's rude. I said, I've been waiting here for 20 minutes. He said, no, it's my cart. I said, okay, here we go. And I just kept telling him he was rude. And I called him a couple of choice words. My Nicky Nork came out of it. So as he was going in, I think I said something to the effect that, I hope you drive it into a pallet and everything falls on your effing head. And he just kept going in. So finally I got my cart. And it was about a half hour later, and I'm driving around Costco, and I see this guy with nothing in his cart, just driving around Costco. Just riding around like he was out for a joyride. And I said to him, that son of a bitch. I said, that's just rude on some people. But it is what it is.
John got his electric assist cart swooped at Costco. Scoops for the week.
I got, my Irish Italian temper was not too... I controlled it.
All right. Do we have a card shop character you want to talk about this week, John?
I'll just mention him by name, my nickname for him. We'll expound as we go along. His name is Dustin. And I told him the other day, dumb shit, you're going on the podcast. There's a lot of stories I could tell you. He's a good kid. I've known him for years. He used to work part-time for me. And he's funny, though.
He is a good guy. I like him a lot. I've played a lot of games against him. He's got a talent for learning how to play the games. But he would fit into your category of one of those that likes to play to win, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, he's a net decker. If he goes to a big event and he loses, he'll immediately want to sell his cards and recoup his money and come into something else. He's been into Magic, which he was really a good Magic player. He's been into Lorcana. He's been into Star Wars. He's been into Yu-Gi-Oh! At times. He collects Pokemon cards with his brother. And he's been into Flesh and Blood. So he's hit all the gamut. He goes from store to store to store.
John Dustin sounds like your ideal patron. He buys everything.
Yeah, he does.
All right, well, let's wrap it up today, John. I think we've gone through everything we can this week. So before we close it out again, I just ask our listeners to do the things that help us out with the algorithms on the different platforms. If you'll like, subscribe, and share this with anybody that you have contact with. You can post it on your social media accounts. We are, as we've said today, live on Twitter and Instagram at Card Shop Insider. If you'll follow us and join us on both of those platforms, you'll get updates when new episodes post. We're going to start posting clips from the episodes. episodes. We're hoping to add some other content, maybe some polls and other fun information to interact with the community there. And then finally, we have set up a basic Patreon thing, not an obligation to anybody to support the show that way, but if it's something you're interested in, it is available. And John and I are talking about what we can do to share a little bit of value with people that choose to join us in that way. So we're thankful for all of your work, and we'll pass it over to John.
Yeah, one more thing. I had mentioned to the crowd the other night that Noah and I are doing this podcast. This is the first time I really told everybody, and a couple people have gotten on it already, and we've gotten some good reports. One guy said, hey, it's good content. I enjoyed listening to you. You and Noah feed off yourself very, very well, or feed off each other very, very well. So I'm kind of impressed by some of the responses that we're getting. So maybe we are doing something right. All right, Noah, go ahead. Wrap it up completely.
Well, we're going to keep it up. And until next time, thank you for listening.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate it.